Hi everybody, this is CASST'ONE. I'm going to show you how to make cheap EVA foam grips out of your typical EVA foam mats. You could do this with regular workout mats, kids EVA letter mats, and anyway, other mats like this. We're not going to use this one. They come in different sizes, different colors, different shapes, different companies all over the place. It's still EVA. Some EVA was higher quality than other EVAs. For instance, like this is a 1/2 inch thickness, and this is a 1/2 inch thickness down here. And this one's bought at a big retail store, and this one's bought off of Amazon. And this one I ran across. This is a 5/8 inch thick, and it's a pure black, and it is a higher density EVA foam. It actually is really stiff. This is what I love to use to make my grips, but you know, we're running out of that. For all your other EVA colors and the right sizes and the more the more proper EVA to use, you could just go to mudhole.com and purchase your colors and EVAs there. I'm going to show you how to do it here. So we're going to do it out of this is black gray, and this is a blue. You'll need it. I'm going to show you how to do it with a what probably everybody has is with a razor blade. You could use a bandsaw, table saw, skill saw. You guys know they use the proper safety equipment to do it. So I'm going to do it with a razor blade today. You need a straight edge, marking utensil. You could use a palm sander like this, orbital sander like this one, but you could use. I use a belt sander, a stationary belt sander. I use a what's it called? I use a bandsaw too to actually just get a smooth edge, because we don't want this texture on there when we're gluing it all together. You'll need some contact cement. This is Barks contact cement. It seems to be like the best one you could use, and you'll find that out by looking at cosplay videos. That's how I learned how to really do this. Center finders. This is the one I made. I use probably this one the most. There's also this one from Harbor Freight. It's okay. I like this one the most. And you need a drill. You can use a drill press or a drill like this. And then to round it out, you could use your power wrapper, a lathe. I turn mine on a lathe or a shopsmith. And but let's get to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to process both these mats to turn into grips. So I'm going to use the thickness of this straight edge, and I'm just going to mark. You could use your marking utensil. I'm just going to use this razor blade, and I'm just going to keep going down, keep cutting it, okay, until I get across just like that. So then I line it up again on the edge I made, and I'm just going to cut. That's done, and we're going to keep going. Put it up to the edge, hold it down, cut. Get rid of those. We just keep going. We'll just process this whole little thing. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, because obviously you're going to find the center of them anyway, and you're going to turn it on the lathe and get what you want. You can do different patterns when you get this done. I'm just going to show you just a typical stripe pattern. Okay, that's cut. Now we'll move on to this black and gray. So this is a lot bigger than what we really need to use, which is fine. We're just going to line up that edge. And we're just going to make a cut. Move it over. And we line it up. Cut. And we move it over. And we line it up. Make a cut. Do, let's see, 1, 2, 3. We'll do, let's see, how many we got from the other ones? We'll do 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. And 6. Okay. Now, okay, we got those cut. Get rid of that. To cut off a little bit, you just take your razor blade and just cut it off. I come here and I just slice that off. You could actually like put different grips together and make a different pattern like that. That's up to you. And so all I'm just going to do is just cut off all these. You can leave them on for now. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to do it now because I'm cutting right now. It's cutting stage. And oof, that one was a horrible cut. And another horrible cut. Okay. All right, now we sand. Well, to sand, I'll show you with this. Most people have some kind of electric sander. You can use a palm sander, an angle sander, a orbital sander, and I start with one hand on one side and go back and forth. So you get the idea. You got to keep sanding till all that texture's out and it's back to almost smooth like this. Do the same thing with this one. As you see, it's taking away the texture, and eventually it does take a little bit of time. But for something that's, you know, less, I mean, most of this stuff I picked up for free because people are getting rid of those mats. So you sand that all down, and I'll come back to you when I get it all sanded. So off camera, what I did is I smoothed out each of the grips so both sides are smooth. I also clean up the edges of my cuts. You can do that with that or with a bandsaw. I did mine on the bandsaw. Now I'm going to cut these so that they're squares, and basically I'm just going to use the same old straight edge what I used before. And all I'm going to do, take my razor blade, and I'm going to just use the razor blade, or the straight edge, or the width of the ruler of the straight edge, and we'll cut them into chunks like this. I'll do this on a bandsaw off camera, but this is what I'm going to do with all the other ones. Let's just cut it in this size. Now the next thing you could do is you can glue these all up together and to your pattern you want, and try to glue them up like that, then drill your hole. But for this demonstration, I'll show you just marking each one to make a nice straight hole between them. I take my center finder and put it on the edge and mark it, turn it, mark it, turn it, mark it, turn it. Now you could do one, two sides, and then mark. But I go all four sides because these are not perfect cuts, these are not perfect squares, so I like to find the exact middle of it. So I go on each side and I mark each and every hole, each and every side, and then I'll mark the center with my pen, and then I'll go to drill the hole. So off camera, I'm going to mark what I need and drill the holes. Alright, I apologize for the lack of quality video. I have to do this on my phone. My big camera's battery died. I didn't have an extra battery yet, so it has died, and it's going to take too long to charge back up, so I want to keep going anyway. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start gluing the pieces together. I already drilled the holes in. I used a 7/32 drill bit because these are flexible, and that you're going to use a dowel. I'm going to use a dowel, a 1/4 inch dowel, just to line up the holes. Line up the holes together when I glue them. Now the gluing process, you want to put one coat on with the contact cement, and what it's going to do is going to soak into the foam itself. After it's soaked in, you will put another coat on, let it soak for just a little bit more, and then stick them together. And I'm going to pair these up together before I start gluing, so that the process goes by quicker. Alright, show you, I just put glue on these ones. These ones I just did before, and you can see right in here by this glob, right in between here, this is where it's already starting to soak in, and that's what basically it's going to look like when you know it's all soaked in. Now these globs are going to take a little bit longer, so we're not worried about the globs, but we're going to look at the main part here. You can already see that this one's already soaking up pretty well. And all I'm doing is doing it in pairs, like I said, pairs, and I'll keep going. I'll keep going from there, and I'll show you what I got. So all of them are coat with their first coat. This is the original one. You can see how it's really soaking in everything. And we're going to put another coat on here after all of them set. And like I said, doing them in pairs. So these are together, these are together, these are together, these are together, and this is my top. Okay, and it's just, repetitive. After we glue these together, for the future, glue these together, and then we'll glue them again in pairs until we get the entire grip filled. So I put the second coat on, let it sit for a little bit, and then I use the dowel to line up the holes for each of the pairs. And how it's going to go is, blue, black, blue, black, blue, black, and then black. So now I'm going to pair up these to be glued together. Okay, so I got everything lined up. It's all glued together. Now I'm gonna let this sit just for a little bit so that the contact cement sets up a little bit better with each other, so it just doesn't fall apart, because there's some wet spots in between. Just gonna let it sit for a little bit, and then I'll put it on the wrapper or the lathe, and you'll turn it. The dowel, I'm not gonna spin it on the dowel. I have my own mandrels that I use, but this is how I set everything up to be turned. Yeah, I will show you when it's done. There it is, all done. This was just for demonstration. I haven't had the guts to put this on any custom rods of my customers. I've done them on my own rods. I've done them on my kids' rods, using this style and material. But I've never really actually used this on customer's rod. Now what you do from here is you would clean it with denatured alcohol, ream it out to fit your rod. I've made a recess here to fit inside the reel seat, and maybe put a winding check down here if you'd like. That's up to you. But this is a cheap way of making your own colored EVA grips. It's a little bit softer. I'd say it's a little bit softer because this is not the high density EVA that I showed you before and we talked about before, but it's very comfortable. And I've had them on my own rods, and I have not had color fade. And it being all fishing season, and I've had them for years now, and had not had any type of discolor or sun fading at all. So to you its own. If you like these tips, these tricks, tips, and hacks, leave me a like, subscribe. Always have more videos to do and show you what I know and what I've done. Maybe give you something to get you over the edge, or maybe you're stuck. Maybe you need something new to do with your life. This would be the way to do it. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell for notifications for tricks, tips, and hacks videos for every weekend. And I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.